Hey y'all, it's Steve, Hobo with Wood, and this video I'm going to show you how quickly you can make a hat patch, complete hat, finished product, if you're organized. We're going to start this video with the laser not even turned on, the leather sitting on top of the laser, and I do have the hat in the hat press. It's ready. But there's nothing on the light burn, and there's nothing on the laser. We got to set it all up, but we're going to be able to do this in probably 15 minutes. How do you do that? Stay tuned. Alright, the trick to doing this rapidly, especially if you're going to be in events or shows, you got to have stuff ready-made as far as designs. And how do you maximize your material? Get all the stuff out of your leather with the minimal waste, and you're constantly taking in and out, and I'm going to show you another trick. I'm using the Roly XW. And I'm going to be using the 10-watt module, and this is featuring the Vevor 4-in-1 hat press, and I'm going to show you how and where to position this and how to set up a way in your art library to maximize this and have no waste, or very little waste. So first, let's get something on the design. So if I come over here to Lightburn, I have a camo hat with a great big duck on it. So I'm going to use this artwork that I've been working on, my retriever with the U.S. flag, and I've already got it set up. I've got its size for my hats because this is in my hat patches. But I'm okay now. Where do I need to put it on the bed to maximize the use of my leather? Well, when I first started using this leather, I saved a template. And I've got this in this, if I rotate that, it will fit on my bed perfectly. It'll fit on my honeycomb. It'll fit in there perfect. The problem with that is when you're trying to cut over here to the edge of the material, your overscanning is going to run past the edge of your laser bed, so you can't do that. Plus, to get the most use out of it, we want to get it as close to the edge as possible. So to do that, I'm running this long ways, and in order to be able to run it long ways with the XW, I've got the pass-through on the back side, and to get it through the pass-through and to allow room for my overscanning, I need to have that in a position off of the left side of the work area. And I'm going to do that by putting my anchor point in the bottom left corner, and then I'm going to come up here to my XY position, and I want this to be at 2.5 and 0. And that puts this bottom, because I put the anchor point in the bottom left corner, it puts the bottom left corner of my leather down here at, if I zoom in good and tight, you can see right there. There's 2.5 inches. That's where it puts my leather, 2.5 inches and 0. So now, that's where I've placed my leather every time I cut a patch out. And once I get through cutting a patch out, like I'm going to bring this patch down here, and this is the one I'm going to cut out now. And I'm going to put it right down here like that. I'm going to have some waste right in here that's not going to be good usable stuff. But, you know what I can do? I can rotate that. There we go. And try and minimize the amount of waste. I rotate that like that, and that's fine. And I send this laser to the send this job to the laser. Once I'm done, I will put that on a tool path and then group it with the rest of this, and then this gets saved back into my art library again. So the next time I need to bring this leather out, and I have it labeled with which leatherette it is, so next time I bring it out, this will be updated with what's been removed. I know it goes to 2.5 and 0, so I'm ready to go. So let's put this back on my cut path. I've got that positioned. Now I need to put the leatherette on the laser bed. As I said, I've got my pass-through in the back. I'm using the inches across the front of the honeycomb. And I put it at 2.5 inches. And I got it in there backward. I need to have it turn around. Not paying attention. Two and a half inches. Use some cheap magnets to hold these things, hold this in position. And I'm going to put another magnet up here, but before I do, I'm going to place the laser in the home position and frame it. So let's get the laser to home. And once it homes, I'm going to select my hat patch, tell it to frame. Now I know that it's in its proper orientation. Tell it OK. It'll stop framing. And now the laser's, oh, too many times. The laser's not in the home position and it's out of the position where it will do its engraving. So now I can put the magnet on the leatherette so that it doesn't want to lift. And I will frame it once more to make sure that the magnet does not interfere with the framing. And it bumped it just a bit, but that's okay. We're good. Say okay. Now, let's send the job to the laser. And start. The laser is doing its thing, and hopefully it does what I want it to. I've not done what I tell you to do. I have not run a test grid with this material. I use the settings that many folks have claimed to be successful settings and had good results from it. I still need to do my own testing though. And I do believe I'm going to have to run it for a second pass on the engraving. When I do my engravings on wood, I prefer low and slow. Low power, slow speeds. And I found that I almost need to do the same thing with this leatherette. Kind of slow it down and lower the power to get the good dark settings that I'm looking for. But we're going to do all this in real time, including the screw-ups and the untested. And the Roly is in a major way of needing cleaning. But now, let me show you how quick it is to design some of these patches while this is working. I'll go back over to Lightburn. I have my art library, and I have a set of frames, bunch of different styles of frames. And on this particular one, I went with this one, but I made some changes to it. So if I bring that in, I didn't bother with the banner that's on here. So I made sure it was ungrouped. put it in wireframe mode and select everything that's outside and delete it and delete it. So now I've got just a basic shield. And then I'm like, okay, well, I need a retriever. And I did not have dogs, boxer. I don't have the retriever here yet, but we're going to put it in here right now. I'm going to import an image from my downloads, and there's a retriever with the flags. And I'm going to put him, I'm going to resize him a little bit, group it, and put it over here in my art library. Import graphic from project and retriever. Now he's over there. Alright, now let's bring that grouped project into my shield and let's resize him. There are a few things about this I don't like already by looking at it. I want to have my dog centered in the shield. I can fix some of that. Alright. In fact, let's make it a little smaller yet. That'll work. Alright, so the dog's pretty much centered, but my ducks are off center. So I'm going to select that image and ungroup all of that. First thing I'm going to do is select the big duck, select the shield and tell it to go to center. And we're going to raise that up just a little bit. I didn't want to do that. Put it back in the center. And let's do this. Let's grab these two guys. Get all three of them. We're going to air them up out of the way for a second. We're going to grab all of this, group it, and then make sure that the dog is in the center. And it is. Alright. Now that's in the center. We'll bring this one on down. Put it where it needs to be in proximity. And that looks good. Now these two guys, I need to group them and put those, now the group, put those in a center and bring those down. And my first pass on my patch is done. So let me take a look here at how that turned out, and I think we're going to clean it up and see what it looks like. This is considered part of the testing. Now I've learned you do not want to use paper towels to clean this. This actually looks okay. I would prefer it if it was a little bit darker. You do want to use a lint-free microfiber cloth when cleaning this stuff. Keep any lint and debris out of your engraved areas. And I like cleaning up the edges and I'm just wiping it with the microfiber cloth. And that could have stood to be a little bit darker. In fact, I'm going to just check this size on the hat. It could stand to be at least another 1/4 inch in height. So let's come down here to light burn. Oh, wrong one. There you are. Alright, so I've already cut this out of my leather. So I need to select that, put it on a toolpath, then select the toolpath pre-existing and group it. So now that is cut out and I know that's waste area. But let's bring another one in here, hat patches. In fact, look at that. That shape's going to work out pretty good with minimizing waste, where you kind of nest them in there together. Let's make this one another 1/4 inch. So I'm going to come over here and add a 1/4 inch. Alright. And I'm going to, alright, that looks good. Checking my magnet plates to make sure everything is okay, and it is. So I should be able to just send this job right back out to the laser. I'm going to change my settings, my speed and power, or probably just my number of passes. I'm going to do 2 passes on the engraving instead of 1. Because sometimes it's not about the amount of power you send to it, but how many times you send the right power to it. So go back over here and I'm going to change my passes to 2 on the engrave and say OK. And I think I like that. I'm looking at the patch and just double. I don't know. We're going to do it. Alright. So, I changed the passes to 2 passes. My cut layer is fine. So, let's just frame it. And look at preview. And it's right. And let's look at framing. We should be good. And start. Oh, so now let's go back over here and finish modifying that other design. So we'll come back up here. Let's put it back in wireframe mode. In fact, you know what? Let's grab these 3 ducks. Let's group the 3 of those. Oh, I did them the wrong way. Let's grab all 3 of those. Yep. And then group them. And just making sure we're gonna draw out there. Let's ungroup those, deselect that middle one, and bring these up a little more. Yeah, I like that. Group that, group that. Now my ducks are grouped. Making sure that everything's still centered. Not flipped, centered. There we go. Alright, now I'm good with those ducks. Those ducks are all in a row. Alright, now, what do I do about my flag and getting that cleaned up? Well, I need to cut using the outer shield. And if that's going to be my cookie cutter, cutting that out, I need 2 of them because the cookie cutter is going to disappear once it's done. So I'm going to Control D, duplicate that. And now I need to make sure that all of the doggy and the flag and every other component there is grouped. And it is. So that is selected. Hold shift and select one of those duplicates and subtract. Nope, that's not the one we want. So Control Z and do it again. And that's the one we want. So anytime you do the subtraction and if you grab them in the wrong order and you get the opposite result you want, all you got to do is click undo and click on it right back again, and it'll give you the opposite result of the first time you did the subtraction. So now let's look at this in fill mode and make sure it's still right, and that's right, that looks good. I don't need those little bitty points of the stars right there. They don't really add anything to the artwork. So I'm going to do a little bit of modifying here. I'm going to go back to wireframe mode. We're going to grab that part of the artwork. We're going to ungroup it, hold shift or hold control rather, and select that one and select that one, and go ahead and group it back together for a second. Select those, delete those, and now let's look at it. All right, and that's it needs a little, so I'm just going to shift these around. So let's go back to there. We'll go back, ungroup it, and I want to keep all that other group. So I'm going to hold control and select those two, group those back together, and let's just use our micro movement using control, shift, and arrow. And just arrow that one over a little bit, and then grab that one and arrow that one. And actually, you know what? I believe we might have room, because this is a little bit of a waving distress flag. We're going to come down here. Actually, we can use that one. Control D, duplicate it. Oh, went too far with it. And now rotate it. So I don't want it to be the exact mirror image of that one over there. We'll rotate it a little more. And shrink it down a little bit because it's a little bit further away. And we might need to cut off just a little bit of it. I didn't like those little bitty, I don't know. Don't know. Let's grab that one. Control D, duplicate that. Shrink it down a little bit. And just put it up there. Grab that one, pull it down a little bit. That looks better. About like that. Again, like I said, this is a waving flag, so they're not going to be, you know, it's all curvy. They're not going to be perfectly symmetrical spacing. That looks better. I can live with that. Alright, so we'll just select everything, deselect the outer shield, and group all of that. Now that's all grouped. Look at it in wireframe. That's good. Now I want to make the outer piece a little bit wider. So I'm going to do an offset outward. Cancel that. Wireframe mode. You know what? Because I did a subtraction instead of a union, I don't have a full solid piece across there. It's okay. It's okay. Those are all I got to do. Let's go back to my art library and go back up to my frames. I need to rename that one because I got frames and flames. Let's bring the shield back in here. And all I had was that part of it. Now I can just take that. Actually, nope, that don't stretch out the same as the offset. So Control Z, go back, and just do an offset. And delete the original. And now see how it looks, Alt Shift W. Alright, that's the inverse of what I want. And I think if I select that and delete that, that we go. Oh, I got rid of my ducks. My ducks were in that group. Don't want to do that. So gotta get rid of. I gotta ungroup my ducks. Ungroup and then hold control and deselect them, and then delete the rest of that. Oh, I got rid of those stars. Don't want to get rid of those stars. Control Z, hold control and deselect those stars and delete. There we go. And if I would have been in my fill mode earlier, I don't need that little piece right there. So we just need to ungroup that and clean all this up. Get rid of that. That looks good. Alt Shift W. There we go. And then I'll do one more offset of that outer piece. Holding control and just do the same offset and then put it on the cut path. Oh, I didn't want to delete the original, and that's what happened. So don't hold control so I can tell it not to delete the original and then put that on the cut path. There we go. So now I used my retriever dog artwork and my frames artwork and created something similar to that there. In fact, I'm kind of liking that one a little more than I like this one. Just having the ducks, because that was what was giving me some reservation on the one that's on the laser now. There was a little bit of excess void up there in the corner. So by making the ducks a little bit larger, that compensates for that. So that looks better. And the laser's cutting now. So now we're just going to wait for that. And boy, this stuff stinks. Puts a terrible taste in your mouth. Roly's finished. Microfiber cloth, and I've just got clean microfiber cloth and water. Oh yeah, that looks much better. Clean lift. Let's turn off some of these fans. And like I said, that looks a lot better. A lot better. And I'll tell you about the speeds and powers I used there. But you really do need to test. But this was the only material I had. I did not buy a whole lot, and they didn't send me any for demoing or testing. I'm going to reach out to them and tell them it'd be maybe a good idea, because they don't even have a really good database on their website for it. They have one, but it is a hodgepodge of settings for various lasers, various powers, and they're not organized. It's not, it's not that searchable. You just have to scan, look. So I'm just wiping down the edges and cleaning this thing up real good right now. I've already cleaned the face of it, but that looks good. I'm happy with that. So that turned out really well. So now I don't want to lay that wet rag on my Roly. There we go. Let's go over to the Vevor 4-in-1 hat press. Switch and switch. All right. And I used this design. I went with this design for a couple of reasons. I like it. It's going to appeal to maybe some of the hunters and or law enforcement combined. But the point on the bottom of the shield gives me a point of reference on the hat for what's going to be the center point. So that's the reason I went with that. So I'm going to just peel the backing off of this. I've got some heat tape en route. It's not here yet because I just got this in and I'm playing with it. So to make sure, and this is not a 5-panel hat, so I've got that seam down the middle. Make sure everything's good and flat. I'm going to pre-press this and heat this hat up. That'll make sure that I've got no wrinkles or minimize the chance of any wrinkles under the patch. Putting some heat into the hat itself, because the platen on this one is not heated. So by putting a little extra heat in the hat, it'll help me with, since I don't have the heat tape. At least that's my theory. So that's good. Now I'll use my point to get dead center. Be careful not burn yourself. So now that's already sticking because I heated the hat up. And I'm going to increase my time from 30 seconds to 60 seconds and just do one press. And it's counting down. I have been told that it's advantageous to put some parchment paper or something between the heat element and the hat to keep the heating element good and clean. Don't have any of that yet either. But what I've been doing is, once I'm finished this particular application, and remove the hat as the hat press is cooling off, I just take my microfiber cloth and make sure everything's clean and there's no glue residue on the heat press. Ten, 9, 8. Go ahead and turn that off. I'm going to let that sit there for a second. I don't want to start moving it around just yet. I want it to cool off just a little bit before I start moving it around. It should be nice and secure. Just double check that. Yep. All the edges, all the corners are, well, that one there is a little bit loose. That's tight. That one was a little loose. So, what I'm going to do, I don't know if this is a good idea or a bad idea, but we're going to do it. We're going to put some pressure on this. That's good and tight. So now I've got my real tree camo with a couple of mallards there. And then I got my good old boy. I'm happy with that. So, not rocket science, pretty easy. And the Vevor 4-in-1 hat press, I've got a link for it down below. I have not worked out any kind of deals with the leather supply people, so I don't have any contact or information on that as of yet. But hats, they can be fun. Thanks for watching. I'm Steve, Hobo with Wood, and I'll see you in the next video.